Well, hello once again. Welcome along to episode 4 in this Wagnerian ring cycle of videos of life through a lens in the lower leagues. I do hope you are well. I am well, thank you for asking. In fact, I'm positively radiant today. Just come back from a week's holiday up in sunny North Yorkshire in Whitby. Didn't do any sports work for a whole week. Did do some steam trains and a steampunk event just down the coast at Farley, but no sports work. It has been now for a couple of weeks, so this is good to be out again. It's Saturday morning. In fact, it is late in May. We're still in the cricket season. The rugby and football are now finished. It's cricket for the next few months. And today I'm covering a team I haven't done before. Back in the 80s and 90s when I did this first time round, I did cover quite a few of the local teams for the local newspapers. But there are some teams which are new to me. This is one. They're only 2 miles away from me. I know it is 2 miles. I've checked it on Google Earth. I know just how far it is, and it'll take me no more than 5 or 6 minutes to drive down there. But it's a team I haven't done before. Because they used to play somewhere else, they've only moved to this new ground in the past 2 or 3 years. The team we're going to see today, that is Cannock Cricket Club, and they have a home game against Wombourne Cricket Club, who are from South Staffs as well. So not that far, 2 local teams, and we'll see how we get on. It is a nice day out there. The sun is shining, blue sky is going to be all day, I reckon. I'm all ready to go. I've got the food, drink and gear all packed. So any moment now we shall pack up and head off down there. But of course, as always, we have the music over here. And this week we have some Tamla Motown. This is Bobby Taylor and the Vancouvers. And I think this was the only album they issued in the UK. This came out back in 1968. If it wasn't the only one, I should check and let you know. But it's quite a rare one. They didn't do much over here, never made the charts. And I don't think they did a vast amount in the States either. But Tamla Motown, yes, one of my favourite, all-time favourite labels. I started collecting this stuff back in the late 60s and collected it ever since. So I do have a lot of Motown stuff, and I do like playing Motown music. Don't get me started on labels like Soul City or Action or Stax or Stateside, all those. Otherwise we could be here an awful long time. But at the moment it's Tamla Motown, and that is our little piece of vinyl to break up this white background. Otherwise though, that is it. We're ready to go. I shall do the manual fade to black and then we're off. Ready? Let's go. Right then, we are here again. It's a nice sunny day. I've even got short sleeves on, so the weather must be good. And we're down at Cannock CC, and they're at home to Wombourne CC. Hopefully get a good match, plenty of pictures to come. Right then, look at that glorious sunshine. This is possibly the best day I've been out this year. I was out 2 weeks ago at Penkridge before I went off on holiday, and that was a nice day. It's getting a little bit warmer now. The grounds are drying out beautifully. It's going to make for a nice, fast surface. So as I said, today we are down at Cannock CC. They've got a match against Wombourne, who've come from South Staff, so about 20 miles away. The opposition has arrived. This place is quite close to where I live. This ground is only 2 miles away from where I actually live. So it took me about 5 minutes to get here, which is quite handy, it has to be said. But I'd never actually been here before. In fact, the team only arrived here about 3 years ago. They used to play their home games at Cannock itself, and then something happened with the ownership of the ground, so they had to move fairly quickly. I think they moved to a couple of places, then they settled on this one down here a couple of years ago in Littleworth Road in Hensford, and they're doing a lot of work on the ground. In fact, let's swing around and have a look what we've got here. Right, let's have a look. So swing around this way and see what we've got. So everyone's getting prepared. The guys in blue over there are the opposition, that is Wombourne. And over this side we've got the home team, which is Cannock. And again, the ground looks very nice. There's a decent sized clubhouse over there. We'll have a look at that in a moment or two. And trees all around, and just see a few houses in the background. There's lots of housing around here, but most of it is screened from the ground and you won't be able to see it. But it is good to be out, and as I said, I've actually got short sleeves on and should be remaining that way all day. I've even brought the suntan lotion today because I have a feeling that I might be needing it. So we'll have a little wander around the periphery now, just around the back of the sight screen, and then we'll go inside the clubhouse and see what it's like in there. So if you can hear something clattering, that's me with the lens caps in my pocket. I should have taken them out first of all, I think. So there's the scorers up there as well. Clubhouse Isn't that nice? That is the quintessential English spring and summer scene. The sound of leather on willow, trees all around, birds chirping, and pints being pulled. Well, that's what it's all about. Let's have a look inside the clubhouse then. Let's wander inside. This is actually quite a new building. The club's only been here 2.5, maybe 3 years tops, and they've built this clubhouse, which is very smart to say the least. Nice little bar on the right hand side here. Obviously nobody here at the moment, but this place will be packed a little bit later on, especially on a day like this. Moving on, we've got a bit of a function room, some tables, chairs, a nice view outside of the match in progress. And then at the top end, as of a spin round, we've got a pool table and a few more chairs and tables around there. So, as I say, quite a new building, an excellent clubhouse for a club of this stature. And we come back to, well, the bar. So let's have a look at the kit first of all, as it was a couple of weeks ago at Penkridge. I've got the two D850s. At the moment I've got one set up with the 70 to 200 f2.8 and the other one has a 24 to 70 because I do want to take a couple of team shots before we get underway. Once I've done the team shots and that 24 to 70 comes off, and we stick this big one on the 300mm f2.8, I shall start off with a 2x converter so I can get quite close in on the batsman and the bowler. Then I may take that off and put the 1.4 converter on, which gives me a 420mm lens, and I can then get both the bowler and the batsman and hopefully the wicket keeper all in the same shot. That's the theory. We'll see how it goes. So there is one thing I'm finding shooting from this end, obviously with the sun behind me, that if I'm shooting the bowler coming in or the batsman at the far end, there is obviously the white sight screen behind them, but there's also a large white painted fence, which does mean that when I'm shooting at them, I have to open up 0.7 of a stop, otherwise it's all going to be far too dark. But when I come to the other end, I've got a dark hedge behind me, and that means I then have to take it back down to 0, and I have to keep remembering which one I have to do. On the plus side, we have got plenty of light around. On the downside, of course, it does mean everything is very dark. They've all got peaked hats on, helmets on, makes the faces go a little bit dark, so it does mean a little bit of work in Photoshop to bring that back. But at least I can shoot at 1/2000th of a second at the moment. I'm shooting at f7.1, so I've stopped it down very slightly. So I've got plenty of light to work with, plenty of speed, so at the moment it is nice, but I think I really should put some suntan lotion on and maybe have a chilled drink as well. And here we go into the Benny Hill section. On a day like this, I know there's no cloud going to come across, so I can set the camera up and leave it and not have to mess around changing settings at all. I'll shoot the whole of this game at 1/2000th of a second at f7.1, and the camera will be in auto ISO. I'll get ISO readings of maybe 400 to 1000, and on a D850 that's no trouble whatsoever, no grain shows. It's wonderful for retaining detail in the shadows, so even if I'm exposed by 2 or 3 stops, I can bring that back out in Photoshop with no loss of quality. They are lovely cameras to work with, I have to say. And we are now at the tea time break. Cannock were all out for 187 runs, so there'll be about 20 or 30 minutes now break while we all have cool drinks and a cup of tea and a slice of cake or something of that nature, and then it will be Wombourne's time to bat. So in the meantime, I shall leave you with a few shots of the first innings from Cannock CC. I thought we'd have a quick look at the ground here. As I said, first time we've been down here, and after the wet spring we've had, everywhere is looking quite lush at the moment, and hopefully it'll stay that way. Last year, you may remember, it was awfully hot. Everywhere went very brown indeed, so it is nice to see grass looking as good as this and not being too soggy. Let's hope it stays that way for a while. But again, quintessentially English: spring, sunlight, sunshine indeed, green grass, and the break in a cricket game. Magic. Right then, it's time for the second innings. Cannock are just coming out to take the field. They'll be followed in a moment or two by the opening batsman from Wombourne. The weather is still lovely, not a cloud in the sky, getting quite warm, so I've had to find a spot of shade somewhere, but it is just so nice being out. So I hope you enjoyed the photos of the first innings. We'll get some more done, and then we'll see what we get before the game is over. They are all out. Wombourne were out for, let me just check the scoreboard, all out for 78. So Cannock actually have a resounding win by over 100 runs, and I think that is their first win of the season. So well done to them. Wombourne were in second place in the table, and they're not going to go any higher, obviously. So a good game, and Cannock played well in when they were bowling and fielding. So kudos to them, I must say. But I'm getting rather hot now, so it is time, I think, we shall head back to the studio. And back to the studio is where we are, as you can tell by the vinyl in the background once again. And that was an enjoyable match. It was over fairly quickly, obviously, with Wombourne being skittled out for just 78 runs. It didn't go on anywhere nearly as long as most matches do, so I'm back quite early, which is good for me. Get the shots processed and off to the newspapers in double quick time. I know with this level of cricket, this level of sport, these pictures won't appear till maybe Tuesday or even Wednesday. Once they've covered all the high league stuff all round, that's when the lower league stuff comes into the papers. But from my point of view, if I can get this stuff off to the papers ASAP, I know then it's done and I can start looking at other things to do. It was a bit different today because now the first 5 matches of the cricket season are over. Then they've moved away from that fluorescent pink ball and the coloured strips and numbers back to the cherry red and the white strips. Have to admit, having colour strips with numbers on does make life a lot easier. The papers do like to have names wherever possible to go with the shots, and of course I don't always know some of these teams. Sometimes it's the first time I've seen them, and when they have numbers and indeed names on the backs, it does make life a lot easier. When they're all in white and no numbers, you've no idea who they are. It can be quite awkward trying to work out who is who. So back into the season, the last 5 games will revert to coloured strips and the pink balls with numbers on their backs, etc. At the moment, it's a little bit harder to do, but fun all the same. It's more typical cricket. White flannels and leather on willow and all that sort of stuff is what it's all about this time of the year. It won't be all that long, in fact, until we start getting pre-season friendlies for the football, and before you know it, we'll be into a full season once again. Although it does look like I'm going to lose 2 of my local teams, both having difficulties at the moment with ground ownerships. It looked like 2 long-standing teams I cover in football will disappear, so I'll be taking on a few others to add to my roster. Anyway, we've done that. We've been out. I shall be back out hopefully next Saturday and do some more cricket. Again, another local team, one I have photographed before, but only when they played away. I've not been to the home grounds, so if all goes to plan, it'll be again a new venue this coming Saturday. So I trust you'll come along and join me then, and that will be episode 5. Doesn't it go very quickly? And as always, we have changed the record, the one we have to go out with. This one here, you can see, nice red cover. I chose that because I thought that would stand out, and it's a lady singer called Jean Ward and an album on the Folk Sound label from 1976 called Stay Not Late. This lady does, I believe, still live quite local to me, and she was singing in the 60s and the 70s with a lot of other well-known folk singers of this area. She does have a lovely voice. It's a nice album. Because she is local or was local, these albums don't turn up in quite a few of the local charity shops, so I think I've got 3 or 4 of this copies of this album in my collection already. But it's one of those things, as a record collector, if you see one that you know is collectible, it's in nice condition, you always pick it up just in case. I do actually think she appeared on Britain's Got Talent some years ago. I've got this vague recollection of the lady turning up. I think she might have had a leg in plaster, and she called herself the Bionic Granny. I will double check that in case I'm leading you down into a blind canyon, but I believe that was the case. And on the radio show that I've been doing for the past almost 7 years, I'm taking a break now from that for a couple of months, but on the radio show that I do, I know I have played 2 or 3 tracks tracks by Jean Ward. She does have a lovely voice, and I do hope she's still around. Anyway, that is a spiel about the record. We've finished it all for this week. I shall leave you as always with some pictures as we go out. Hope you've enjoyed it, and as always, if you do, please look at the videos. If you want to like them, that'd be great. If you want to comment, you're more than welcome. If you would like to subscribe, that will help tremendously. It still is very, very early days for this video channel. It will take a long time to grow it up to a good bunch of subscribers and lots of comments and views coming in. I do know, I've done this thing before. I know how long video channels can take to set up on YouTube, but we're going in the right direction. The more I add, hopefully the better it will get. Otherwise, that is it. Pictures to come. I shall see you in a week's time. Goodbye.